Hey, what's going on, everybody? As always, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is enjoying their day. Real quick, I just wanted to jump on Rebuilding Community Trust channel. For those who have been tuning in, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching the videos and the content. I hope that you're getting something out of the stuff that's already out. For those who are new, welcome. I always like to hop on here at some point and address certain issues that affects our community, that affects people as a whole. And just thanking you today for tuning in, and continue to stay tuned and continue to share and subscribe. Hit the like button so the algorithm can spread, and then maybe we can get a chance to hear what's been put out. Just want to jump on here real quick. I'm not going to be before you guys very long. I just want to just kind of point some stuff out. I'm not sure if people have been watching the news. Of course, I like to tune in. And it was a case that sparked my interest, and it was in New York. And it was a individual by the name of Jose Alba. He's age 61. And it got worldwide attention, nationwide attention about what happened in his store, his bodega. Guy comes in, gets into a scuffle. Pretty much from what I've read and looked at this stuff in the news, he basically went behind the counter to confront Mr. Alba. Asked for apology for the card. It was declined, and the worker grabbed the chips from the hands of the 10-year-old daughter, Mr. Simon's girlfriend, Miss Austin Simon, the one who was killed. And he was unarmed and pushed the worker behind and ensued a scuffle. Right. Eventually, it got to the point where camera footage showed Mr. Simon pushing on Mr. Alba, and it ended up becoming where he ended up stabbing him. And he was charged with second-degree murder after a day of late-night confrontation. This is during the July 4th weekend. So it was interesting because when you first hear about it, of course, the media talks about self-defense, stand your ground. But it shows that he could have walked away, a duty retreat. So in certain states, of course, people should know this, but if you don't, every state is different, right? So some states have something called duty to retreat clause, and some states have stand your ground. So we talk about Trayvon Martin, what happened with that back in the 2000s. And then you have in Florida, where it's a duty to stand your ground. And then certain states have a duty retreat. So the difference is that for the duty to retreat, you have to have a way out. So you can't, if it's a way to walk away, escape, and not use violence or try to kill someone, you retreat. That's with the gun laws, right, too, as well, which has also been overturned in the Supreme Court. Concealed carry to carry and used for self-defense. And then you have a stand your ground, where if your life is in imminent danger, you can have defense. And if you may take the person out, kill them, or injure them, seriously bodily harm, then you're allowed to do that if your life is in imminent danger. So it's interesting with this because I feel like, we kind of look at the camera, we see the tape, and I felt like it was he was able to use self-defense. He was being pushed. I mean, he's older. You got to think about Mr. Austin. I'm sorry, Mr. Simon. I keep calling Mr. Austin, Mr. Simon. And then you have Mr. Albert, right? And you both, when you look at it, you think that they have, he has an opportunity to use self-defense. But once you read through the articles and study the laws, it shows that he could have retreated. I mean, the defense, the scuffle wasn't life-threatening and imminent. But then again, and who's to say? You got to look at his age, you got to look at his size, you got to look at, his ability to handle himself, right? And then you just getting pushed around by Mr. Simon, and then he felt like he needed to stab him and get him off of him, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of this stuff with the caseloads and stuff that I see, it was another case in New York as well, where someone broke in and the clerk was sleeping in the back, and he ended up taking a gun and shooting one of the shooting at the perpetrators that's breaking in. Excuse me. And he ended up striking one of them, right? So with that, the police came, and the first thing they said to him was they arrested the store clerk and took him to jail. And he was sitting in jail until the trial, until eventually the acquittal came, and he ended up getting released. But at the end of the day, the police should have told him he should have retreated. He should have left. He should have just left the building, the store, and allow them to come in, right? But that's interesting because Second Amendment talks about, the right to bear arms and protect property. What I'm saying? That's what the amendment provides. So was the store clerk wrong for retreating? According to the law, he should feel like he should have stayed and defended his property, right? Or the store's property. So in certain states, you got to understand the laws there. You got to understand that, every place, doesn't, by law, does not allow to stand your ground. And you could be charged and put in jail for defending your property and your persons. So this is why I always go back to saying, study your laws of the state where you're living in. Because if it happens in Florida or it happens in Missouri or happens in Washington State or Texas, does not apply for Georgia, or it may not apply for New York or New Jersey or Michigan. It's different, right? So it's up to us to educate ourselves on what's going on in our communities in reference to the law. Because in these times, especially with everything politically driven, especially coming from the top down, it's going to be a point where laws are changing. Their laws are changing every single day, whether it's state, local, or federal level. We know that, right? So it depends on the electorals and people that we vote in office. They can, change stuff and apply stuff versus, leave stuff the same. It's interesting with Mr. Albert's case. He was already sent to Rikers Island. His bail was set for $500,000. I think it was $500,000. Let me go back and look at it. See when his bail was set. I think it was. I know it was lowered to $50,000, but I know it's as high as $500,000. Yep, it was $500,000 bill. And so with that, you can be put in jail for doing the right thing and protecting yourself or other properties. What if Mr. Simon, I keep calling him Mr. Austin. Sorry, Mr. Simon had a weapon. Then it might have escalated to where he was, he couldn't retreat. He might have been a different case. But unfortunately, he didn't have a weapon. He was just pushing him around and shoving him around. Does Mr. Alba should have sat there and took the abuse? He couldn't leave? Should he, just get beat up by the perpetrator, Mr. Simon? Should he have just continue to get pushed around, shoved around, getting robbed because he's older, right? So he felt like he needed to take matters in his own hands. Was he wrong? Should he just took the L and got beat up? Or should he, let him take what he want? Or should he have stabbed him? Or should he had did something else? And that's when it comes to, we don't know until we're in that situation. So when we're in that situation where we feel like that we feel like our lives are in imminent danger, or we may feel like that, depending on the age, the size, the aggressiveness of the person that's attacking us, we can sit outside and look at the newspaper or look at what's on TV or the video footage. But when in real time, whether, a woman, a child, or older adult, and I said before that our elderly is being targeted. A lot of our elderly are those in our 60s and our 70s are in our communities are getting killed violently. One lady got beaten, with a bat. She's 73. Another individual, got beaten bare-fisted in the bus stop. Another lady, another woman at 89. I think she was 89. I'm said this before. She was hit in the face with a sucker punch in the face. And now you got somebody coming in and taking advantage of older people. And now he stabbed this man and then he goes to jail. Then he has to surrender his passport. Now he has to wear an ankle monitor. He had to get a $50,000 bill because he was defending his business, the place that he worked hard to build. Right. And it's interesting, man. It's interesting about the laws of this land. And this is why I get on here from time to time. And I hope that people will educate themselves. Sit down and understand, get into these weeds and understand what's going on where in states and communities you live. Because it could be very well be you. And you could be in a situation where you got to defend someone else that you love, or defend the person yourself or your business or what you worked hard for. And it could probably cost you and put you in jail, depending on what state you're in. And even the district attorney, he investigating the case with the footage, but he put him in jail. He charged him with murder. As of right now, anyway, it may get acquitted and it may get dropped. But right now, he's being charged with second-degree murder because he probably should have not stabbed him. He probably could have just took that L, or he probably could have did something else. But in real time, we know we can't do that stuff. We don't know how it's going to play out in real time. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's robbing you or attacking, your business, or attacking someone you love or yourself, you're not going to be thinking about, I need to retreat. Or you're not going to think about, I'm trying to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's a real crappy situation to be in. even with the other guy with the bodega. I'm not with the bodega, but with the store clerk, and how he shot at those burglars, right? And he ended up striking one of them, and he ended up going to jail because he was defending the property that he was in charge of. And instead of him defending the property, they telling him he should have ran out the back door and just let them come in and steal everything. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't want to do that. Some people want to do what the Constitution said it was supposed to do, and that's defending their properties and their persons. So I just hope that, again, people read the laws and understand what they are in their communities. And if you don't like these laws, then we need to come together as a community and try to select politicians and people in place to change these laws. And it may seem redundant. It may seem like they don't care. They may seem like, there's issues with politics all around this country right now, whether it's from the state, local, or federal level. So I can understand people not trusting the politicians and trusting the Democrats, or the Republicans, or the conservatives, or the liberals, especially with all that's going on right now. But that's the only way laws are going to change. And it's going to take media attention. It's going to take exposure. It's going to take people standing together and pushing these things back and forth across these courtrooms to get things changed. Because at the end of the day, that's how we're able to live. And we can't, are we risking doing things with our own assumption that the Constitution is going to hold us in regards to having our basic rights as citizens? And then next thing you know, you into self-defense. You trying to defend yourself, your property, or others. And you end up going to jail and sitting in jail for a time period. You end up going to court. You end up getting fined. You end up getting charges on your record because you're doing what you think is right. So these laws needs to be changed depending on where you live. And I just hope that people are taking heed to these things and paying attention to what's going on around them. So I just also want to say, be safe. There's a lot going on in this world. We all know there's a lot of mass shootings. There's a lot of crime. There was an interesting article where I was reading about, and it was interesting. The media is having a hard time covering all these shootings and all these different killings. They have to actually find the most one that's going to get the most attention and, I guess, coverage. So they have to decide on what they're going to cover, which is, we all know that. But it's interesting that they will put an article out saying that, there's too many shootings to cover, right? It's not enough media resources to cover every single thing that happens in the country, whether big, small, and different, whether it's at a nightclub, whether it's in a train station, subway, or, stuff like this at the bodega, New York, or something major happens in Texas, and then it's over here in local news. We just don't have enough resources, right? So just be careful out here for our youth and for our elderly, our youth and our elderly. Because right now there's a lot of issues with the youth, 14-year-olds getting killed, 15-year-olds getting killed, 18-year-olds getting killed, we name it, right? Our elderly, from the 60s to the 70s, even the 80s, they're targeting the youth and the youth and the elderly. These are two groups right now that I'm seeing a consistency of crime or death or injuries. I'm seeing a lot of inconsistencies between the youth and the elderly. So be mindful of your communities, monitor your kids, monitor those who are around your children, monitor what they're doing, where they're going, and also check on your elderly. We got to protect our elderly, because if they get taken out, if they're not safe, if a 73-year-old woman can get beat to death with a baseball bat, or a 63-year-old woman that's sitting in the bus stop and she can't sit peacefully and she gets beat to death, or it's an 89-year-old woman walking down the street and when somebody walks up to her and punches her in her face for no reason, then it really shows what type of world. And then I have to say, it happens a lot in the minority communities. You know what I'm saying? And not all of them. There's some that happens in white communities as well. I'm not going to just, make this a race thing. But overall, you know what I'm saying, these things have to be reviewed and looked at. We have to be mindful of protecting our elderly. It shouldn't be where our older men and women, those who've lived life, those who worked hard to get to where they're at, those who's supposed to be in a place of rest, in a sense of enjoying their lives after hard work for so many years, they're the ones got to defend themselves against perpetrators, or they're the ones that's going to jail because they're defending something they worked so hard for. Or, a woman can't walk down the street without worrying if somebody's going to hit her in the face, or someone can't sit somewhere and rest without somebody jumping on them and trying to kill them. Or, you know what I'm saying, someone's in their home and they're trying to, you know, relax and they got to worry about get beaten to death by their neighbor. You know what I'm saying? So it's just sad to me, you know what I'm saying? But this is the type of world we're living in. So it's even more so understanding what is available to us. And if it's not fair to the situation, then we need to start making changes in that area. So that's all I have. I don't have much. I pray that everyone's well. I pray that everyone is being safe and continue to monitor everything that's going on around them. As we see things are going to take a turn again, you see the political assassinations, you see the people stepping down, you see world leaders being shifted and moved, and it's going to affect everything we got in our lives. It's going to affect the economy, socioeconomically. It's going to affect our way our laws are being conducted. It's going to affect who's going to be making decisions. It's going to affect political confines, whether it's globally, whether it's come to trade and commerce, whether it affects our ability to our everyday lives in reference to inflation and food. It affects our criminal justice system, which is, again, continuing to crumble before our very eyes. You know, I've talked about before, I mentioned about the criminal justice system being unfair and letting out criminals early, and COVID has done a big number on a lot of things, and it started a new trend of how crime is being conducted and also how crime is being handled in our courtrooms and in our judicial system. And it's affecting everything. So now people are doing things differently. Law enforcement is continuing to be less and less. A lot of police are those who are still remaining. It's really working overtime to keep crime down and to try to maintain safety in our communities. The criminals are being bolder and they're being more aggressive because of what's happening. They're being mindful of what's going on in our legislative branch and our president and everything that's in our White House and our Congress, our Senate, and everything that's going on. The cat fightingness and the petty politics is what I call it. And it's affecting communities. It's affecting everything from the criminal justice system to just basic living. So we got to be mindful, man, and we got to be able to address these things in the most prolific way. And it starts with us, you know, and we can't affect things on a government level or affect things in our states and our communities. As far as the governments and local governments, then we can take a charge of our homes. We can band together in our communities. We can have tight-knit communities and being on watch and standing together. That's what's going to take sometimes. Those ones that we can stand, that's willing to stand together, then that's how we get it done. That's how we're going to be able to be watchful of our children and of our elderly and protect our homes. You know, so that's just what it is. And that's what we got to think about. So team to stay watchful, team to stay planted. Again, I know a lot of people don't believe in the spiritual side of the house. I mean, I have my other channel, Freedom Fighters, and I mentioned a lot on there on the spiritual aspect of things. But, you know, for this particular channel, you know, I just want people to understand, to be practical and really look at what's going on around them. So that's all I got, guys. If you have any comments, things you want to talk about, or opinions, or things you want to see or me do videos on, by all means, you know, comment, leave it in the comments, and I will definitely take a look at it. And I know I have not been on here a lot. I've been on my other channel, but I try to, you know, address certain things that I feel like it'll help people, that'll get people to think, stimulate thought, and I hope it's doing just that. So be blessed. You guys take care, and if you want anything you want me to talk about, leave in the comments. Have a good day.